back to my channel. My name is Timikevza James. For our new and old subscribers, you're all welcome to today's tutorial where I'm going to be showing you how to make a corset, right? It's actually one side a cupped corset and the other side a regular straight corset, and it's going to be having an illusion neck, right? So if you're not yet subscribed to my channel, do ensure to subscribe so you don't miss videos such as this, and like my videos and share with your friends, guys. And in case you love my top, there's a tutorial on it on my channel. I'm actually going to be linking it in the description box, right? So, and if you also have other videos that you would love for me to bring, do ensure to comment them in the comment section and I'll do just that. So without further ado, let's get into drafting. So I'm going to be using a pattern paper which I have here, a tape, right, a pair of scissors and my marking pens for the drafting. So guys, here I just have my basic bodies. I didn't even complete the basic body, so if you don't know how to do this, I'm going to be dropping the link for my video in the description box where I taught on how to do this. So this is a half scale bodies, right? So this is the affluence point. Now let me just run you through it quickly. So here is my starting line, right? This side as well is just a line where I'm going to be using to start, right? And then I have my 3 inches for my neckline, and this is the 8 inches standard shoulder, but her shoulder is not up to 16 inches, hence I marked 1 inch backwards, which means her shoulder is 14 inches divided by 2.7. That's what I have here. And then I've gone ahead to square this line up to the chest line. So this is the chest line. Let me label it for you. So I'm going to label this side the chest line. Sorry, I'm doing it upside down. And then this is the bust line, and this is the under bust line, and this is the affluence or the waist line, right? So it would even be nice if we fold our fabric in half, our pattern paper in half, before we draft this, right? Because remember I said we are doing one side, one other side is going to have the cup and the other side will not have the cup, so we cannot afford to draft this like this. So you have to fold your fabric, your pattern paper. So we'll draft the entire front, right? So I'm just going to extend my lines so that I start drafting again. So I'm extending my lines. I was hoping I would do the front and the back at the same time, but it's obvious it's not going to work. So I have to just do the front before I come back to draft for the back as well. So these are my lines. Now I'm going to insert that 3 inches neckline, and then half of her shoulder line is 7 inches, right? So from the 8 inch mark I'm coming down 1 inch. This is her shoulder. This is the 8 inches standard neck, standard shoulder, right? So I'm marking out 1 inch so that I can get her shoulder here. So now on this side I'm marking half of her shoulder line as well, so that I can square the points like so, right? So now on her bust line, this is the bust line, this line here, this is the chest line, this is the under bust line, and this is the affluence or the waist line. So on her bust line I'm going to be inserting her bust span measurements divided by 2, because I have this paper on fold. So her bust span is 7 inches divided by 2. I'm marking it here. Then I'm going to mark the same thing on the affluence point as well. Then I'm going to draw that point and square it out as well, right? So now on the underbust, I'm taking half inch of that on the underbust. Likewise, the affluence point, I'm taking half inch on both sides for my dart, right? So I'm just going to connect those lines together, right? So now I'm going to use my my curve on my pattern master to just connect this point like so. So that will help me with my darts. So I have one side, one part of my dart is done. So now I'm going to insert her bust measurement, divide by 4, right? The bust measurement, her bust measurement is 34.5, right? So I'm going to divide that by 4. This is another technique of dividing your measurement. If you're dividing it by an even number, you can use your tape. So you divide by 4. I'm going to insert that on my chest line. Then I'm doing the affluence as well, divide by 4. The affluence is 28 inches, so I'm dividing 28 inches by 4 as well. So I have 7 inches, so I'm going to mark my 7. Sorry, it's 9 inches, not 8. Is 29, sorry. Divide by 4 is 7.25. So I'm going to slightly connect this point. I'm not connecting them all through, right? I would have loved to use pencil around here so that I can eventually erase, but if I use pencil, you're not going to see it clearly. So let's just use dash lines, right? So I've connected that point. So now I'm going to come over here to measure her underbust so that I can tighten the underbust side, right? Her underbust measurement is 28 inches, right? So I'm going to divide 28 by 4, which is 7 inches. So on her underbust line, I'm going to mark 7 inches. So I'll just make this point, right? Then I'll come with my tape and measure what I have left. That's the distance from here to here that I have left. That means that's an excess, so I'll have to take it in as a dart, right? So you can see I have 0.75 difference. That's from the point, this line here, this line to this point of her underbust. So I have 0.75. So now I'm going to come back to this dart that I have to spread that 0.75 on the both sides of the dart. So on this side, that's this side, I'm taking 0.25, right? And then on this side, I'm taking 0.5 because this side carries the fullest part of the bust, right? So when I do that, I'm going to go ahead and connect this back to the affluence point that I have here. So I'm going ahead to connect that back. Then I would also connect back like this, right? So I'm going to cancel this just so we know that this dart is out of the way. We are not going to be using that point and we'll be cutting it out. So I'm going to use my curve again to just go ahead and connect like so. Now I'm using my curve because the bust is not pointed, actually is a subtle curve. So that's why I'm using my curve. So I'm just connecting it back like so. So this side as well is not needed. So now let's come back to our chests, our upper bodies. So we are going to be doing our bust, our dart, right? The armhole dart. So I have this line is 7 inches. So I'm going to find the midpoint of the line, which is 3.5, like so, right? Then I'm going to be taking half inch of that on both sides, like so, half inch on this side. Now I just want to do this. You can use the shoulder dart. In fact, let me just use the shoulder dart instead of the armhole dart. So for the shoulder dart, I'm just going to measure what I have from my neckline is 4 inches. So I'll mark the midpoint, which is 2 inches. So I'm just going to go ahead and connect it to my bust points, right? I'm eventually not going to be using all the lines, so I'm just making dash lines, right? So I'm going to be taking half inch on both sides. Then I'll connect it to the bust, to this side as well, to get another dart. I'm not going to be cutting that point, guys, so don't worry about it. I wish I can use pencil so that I can erase what is not needed, but if I use pencil, you won't see what I'm doing properly. So we have another dart here, right? We have another dart like so. So now let's continue. So now you remember we said one side is going to it's going to have an illusion neck. One side of the bust is going to be cupped and the other side is not going to be cupped. So let's assume this is the cupped side. So let's go ahead and draft our cups, right? So we are going to measure the distance from the under bust to the bust point, right? I have 3.75, right? So I'm going to come up on this side as well through the line. I'm coming up from my bust point, coming up, I'm marking 3.75 as well, like so, right? So now I'm going to mark that 3.75 round, right? So I'm going to, from my bust point, I'm marking 3.75 round, like so. Don't worry if it gets to this side, don't worry about that. I'm marking 3.75 all round. I'm going to do another video where I'll teach you how to make these so on this point you notice it didn't go round. Don't worry about it, just mark your 3.75 wherever it goes round. So this is it, like so. So now here on this point, this chest line here, on my bust point first, I'm going to come up by 1.5 inches, like so. The client wants a full coverage, she doesn't want any exposure, so it's not like this cupped side is going to make a lot of difference, but because we are still going to close up with an illusion neck, right? So now I will just mark half inch here inwards. From here I'm marking half inch inwards, right? Then I'm going to be connecting that point like so to the point where I marked all my 3.75, like so. I'm just using dash lines to connect those points, right? Just going ahead to use dash lines. So now let's fix what we have on this side, right? So because we are not going to just cut out our bust round like this, so we are going to reshape this neckline for the bust, right? So now on this side, this is our bust measurement, right? So I'm going to, instead of coming round like this, I'm just going to shape this side up like so. Then I'll go over with it like so. You can totally just do what you wish, right? And then this point is not, I don't like the shape I'm having here, so I'm going to reshape it. So I'm just going to come from here, I'll come down like this. So I'm just reshaping my cup to what I would prefer, right? Right, so I have this side as well. So I'm just going to shape this side. Sorry, I don't like this shape, so I'm going in like so, right, to come and meet this point. I'm going in like so. So disregard this line that you have here, right? So this is going to be the shape of our cupped side of the corset, right? So this is not like a standard way of making the cupped corset, but this is what we are going to be working with, right? So now I'm going to open it so that we do the other side. But before then, let's close this, let's make this dart a lot, let's open the dart here wider so that it will give a nice snug fit, right? So on the midpoint of this line that we have here, around here, I'm going to just go ahead and open the dart by 0.75 on each side, 0.75 on this side, right? So I mark 0.75 here, 0.75 here. That will help keep that side properly shaped. So this is it. By the time we close these darts, you see what it will look like. Now we are going to measure here, right? So I'm measuring this point like this, round, because this is going to be a separate panel and this one will be a separate panel. So we'll measure up to here. We have 7.75 inches, right? So now I'm going to measure this side as well so that I have the same thing, because that side is going to be matching this side. So you can see I have 7.2 inches on this side. So I'm going to lift up this line here to where the 7.75 is, like this. So I'm bringing it up here so that it matches here. So I'm going to reshape this curve that we have here. I'm going to reshape it. So instead of this line, this is now our new line, right? So I'm going to cancel this dart as well. We are done with this dart, right? Now let me reshape it for you to see. So now let me just follow that with a red pen, the sides where we need, with a red marker instead, so that you would understand. So this is the line we are going to be cutting. I just want you to understand what we are doing. So this is going to be one panel, like so. This is one panel, then this is another panel, right? Like so. I'm still going to be cutting on the black pen, but I just put the red pen so that you understand what we are doing. So this is one panel, this is another panel. So I'm going to label the panel and I'm going to insert green lines so that you don't get confused when we are sewing, right? So I'm adding this green line, and this panel is the center front, the front side here, the mid front. So I will label it mid front, right? Then this panel is the side front, and all of them consist, they make a cup. So I'm going to just write the cup. So I'm inserting my, I'm going to put my green line on this panel as well, right? So now we are going to open it and draft the other side. So this is what it looks like right now, right? So I'm here to add my allowances, right? So now we are going to make our armhole curve, right, on both sides. So these are our armhole curve. So on the style line, right, there's something that happened on the style line, but let me complete the upper dart of this one. So for this side, we are going to be using an this dart that comes from here, right? Or let's just use the upper dart here too as well. So also on this side, I'm going to be finding the midpoint, the shoulder dart. I'm going to be finding the midpoint here, right, which is 2 inches. So I'm going to be taking 1/2 inch on both sides, like so. Then we'll be connecting to here. Right? So now I'm going to go ahead and find the upper side of this one as well, that 3.75. I'm going to mark it here as well, because don't forget I told you it was an illusion necked blouse, right? So I'm going to find this side, this 3.5 as well, and this will be where I'll be drawing my neckline around here, right? So I'm going to be opening that side more by 1/2 inch as well, to give it a nice cup. 1/2 inch here, 1/2 inch here. So I'm just going to connect that back to my bust points like this as well, right? So now on the dress, it has like sort of an S-shaped neckline that came from here, like so, coming from here like so. Then it made an S to the underbust of this one. So I'm going to be shaping the neck. Ignore this line, guys, this was an error. So I'm going to start shaping the neckline of this side like so, right? So up to this point like so. So what I want to do is to achieve an S shape that comes like this to this point. So I'm going to shape here, this side, this corner that we have here. I want this to come and meet that point here, right? So I'm going to go going like this. So this will be the neck side on this point, like so. So by the time we sew, we are going to be having something like this that will go like this. So the neckline is going to be sort of like an S from here, like so. Then it will follow this curve down to this place, right? So this is it about the upper side. So now I'm going to cut out my yoke, and for my yoke I'm going to be ignoring this dart, right? I'll be ignoring this dart. So this side, like so, to here will be my yoke. Do you understand? So this side is going to be my yoke. So I'm going to be tracing my yoke on a separate pattern. But before then, let's add our darts and our allowances and cut our pattern. So now on this side, don't forget we've taken that here. We took that of 1 inch here initially, right? And you remember that at depth, so we are going to be paying back that 1 inch here as well, right? And we took 1 inch of that on the affluence line. We will pay back that dart. The same thing I'm going to be doing to the other side. So now I'm going to be adding my sewing allowance on this side. I'm adding 2 inches sewing allowance, then 2 inches sewing allowance, and 2 inches sewing allowance. So I'm just going to be connecting all of these together, like so. Now I'm not going to be adding sewing allowance to join this side, because by the time I cut, when I'm cutting my fabric, that's when I'm going to be adding my sewing allowances, right? So I'm going to label my patterns. So this side of the pattern is going to be my center front, which I will label 1. Then on this side I'll label this one side front, right? That's the left side front. Is going to be the left side, and then the side front right side. So by the time we are done, we are going to be having 3 panels in the front, minus, I'm not talking about the cups, so including the cups, it will be 5 patterns in the front and 3 patterns under, then the cup side 2 patterns. So I'm just going to go ahead and do the same thing to this side and cut. So on this side I'm adding my darts depth and my sewing allowance here as well, here as well. Then I'll just go ahead and cut and connect my lines, then I'll cut. So I know it's a lot and it's a little bit confusing, but just when you watch it over and over, you get to understand what we are doing here. So I just went ahead and traced off my yoke. So this will be my yoke. I'm going to add half of an inch sewing allowance all round the yoke, but I don't want the video to be too long, so I'll be doing that off camera. So I'm going to be cutting out this other one so that we can draft the back side. Cutting out the outside. So these are our panels, right? So these are our 3 panels in the front. So what I'm going to be doing is, when I'm cutting, I'm going to add ½ inch sewing allowance around, or just, I'm not adding on this side, I'm not adding on this side, I'm just adding here like so, and then here as well, then this other side I'm adding ½ inch sewing allowance, right? So this is the this is what it's going to look like, our cup. By the time we are done sew stitching, it will be like this. This is the cup side of the bustier, right? So let's go into drafting the back. So guys, for the back, there's nothing serious. It's just the basic bodies, right? It does not even have the underboss, the bust point. It's just the chest line where I inserted my bust point and my sewing allowance, and then the affluence point as well, where I inserted my I'm going to be adding my dart on that side, right? So it's just my dart that is on that part of my back. So you can do your dart as long as you want, right? So I'm just stopping my dart around here. I'm doing ½ inch on both sides, and then that will be it, right? I've gone ahead to pay for my dart already on that point. So on the back as well, we are going to be making the back an illusion neck as well. So from this armhole line, we are just going to make a subtle curve to this point, like so, right? So this side will be the illusion fabric as well, and this side. So that is it about the back. There's nothing special or unique going on the back side. So this is it. We might just add a straight sleeve, and there is nothing else. Then the dress is going to have it's going to be a pencil dress. So it's just the upper side that has the problem. So the skirt part of the dress is just a pencil skirt. If you don't know how to draft that, I have a video. I'm going to be linking it in the description box as well. So this is it about our tutorial. If you enjoyed this video, please give me a thumbs up, share this video with your friends, and subscribe if you're not yet subscribed. And thank you so much for watching. See you in my next video, where it's going to be the sewing of this tutorial, guys. Bye.